Welcome to Left Undone. Today we're going to explore Vallow Daybell. Who is she? What is she about? And what about her would cause her to kill her own children? What kind of mother does that? A monster? Mothers are supposed to protect their babies, not kill them. Why? What about her and her background would lead her to become this horrible, horrible person that was part of murdering her own children? Why would she be involved in something so sinister? Aside from being involved with the alleged cult, what do we know about Lori? What can we find out about Lori? So let's get started. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Catherine. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Now, I'm not a psychologist. However, I am a registered nurse. So I have been educated in many aspects of the human body being, the human. Well, how I was trained in nursing school, that the human being is a bio-psycho-social spiritual being. So when we look at that aspect, we can learn a little bit more and more about people. I've also read books and I've done research on mental health and in particular, narcissistic personality disorder. According to the Mayo Clinic, narcissistic personality disorder is one of several types of personality disorders. It's a mental health condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration. They tend to have troubled relationships. They lack empathy for others. But behind this mask of their confidence, they are fragile. They have a very fragile self-esteem that's very vulnerable to the slightest criticism. If you know anybody with narcissistic personality disorder, you can tell them one thing, they hear something else, and they can blow it extremely out of proportion to where you are like, that's not what I meant. I mean, to the point of breaking up a relationship over something so silly as they thought you might have slammed a door. Narcissistic personality disorder causes problems in many areas of life. It causes relationship problems, work problems, school problems, financial affairs. People with narcissistic personality disorder may generally be pretty unhappy people. They're disappointed when they're not given special treatment or favors or admiration, and they believe that they deserve more attention, more kudos, more everything than you or me or anyone else. They may find their relationships are unfulfilling. Others may not even enjoy being around them at times, but they're fake. They're a chameleon. So they can make you think they think you're the fabulous person on earth. They love bomb you in the beginning when you're new in a relationship, and then they flip. There's treatment for narcissistic personality disorder, but most of it would have to be therapy and psychotherapy, and it's very difficult for someone to change their personality. Now, some signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, and we'll get to Lori in a minute because this very much is about her. Signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder and the severity of symptoms vary. We all have narcissistic tendencies, but true narcissistic personality disorder is something else. People with the disorder, they think they're better than everyone at times. They have an exaggerated sense of self-importance. They have a sense of entitlement. They require constant, excessive admiration, and they expect to be recognized as superior, even without achievements that warrant that. What achievements does Lori Vallow have? But she sure walks around acting like she's superior to anyone else, doesn't she? They will exaggerate achievements and talents. Sometimes they're just preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. They do believe they're superior and can only associate with equally special people, but they tend to latch on to people that are kind and, well, they can take advantage of them. They get their narcissistic supply. They monopolize conversations, they belittle, they look down on people, especially people they perceive as inferior to them. And they expect favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. Don't question me. This is how it goes because I say so. They do take advantage of others to get what they want, and they have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of other people. They generally can be very envious of other people, but they also believe that people envy them. They behave very arrogantly or haughty. They come across as conceited sometimes, boastful, pretentious. They can insist on having the best of everything, the best car, the best office. At the same time, people with narcissistic personality disorder have trouble handling anything that they perceive as criticism. They cannot handle criticism.
And that's what the Lord requires of you sometimes. And that's how it is. And I'm sorry that's how it is, because there is a lot of darkness on the earth. I know. It's been after me for zero reason, besides the darkness of Kay, which you already know she's dark.
I haven't met her enough to know if she's dark or not. I've just met her slightly, and she seemed like a normal kind of person, but then I haven't engaged with her that much, so I don't know that personally.
So you don't know about her changing the thing for herself to be the beneficiary of the policy and all that stuff? None of that's dark, right?
Well, I haven't seen those documents, so I have no way of knowing.
You've seen them on my computer.
No, I have not. I haven't looked on your computer before. You haven't shown me anything.
I don't know why you're being controversial to me, or if you're recording this conversation for the police or whatever. I don't know what your intention is on this phone call.
Well,
but I love with all my heart, and I have forever, and I will always love you.
I appreciate those words, but if you really loved me, you wouldn't have told the police that I had JJ with me. That's not what a friend does. I mean, that just makes me look weird, and it's not safe for me. That doesn't look good. I mean, you had to think of my welfare if you love me.
I do, and I did exactly what I felt the Lord was instructing me to do. And I appreciate you, and I love you. And I will never do anything to harm you. And you can have all of this confirmed to you by the Lord.
I have. And my conscience is clear. I feel very understanding what's really going on, Lori. And I believe that you have been very deceived by Satan. I believe that he has tricked you. And I don't believe that what you're doing is correct. I just don't. I mean, Tammy dies, and then your husband died, and then he's missing. It just doesn't sound like God's plan to me. It gives me a gut feeling, like in my gut, it feels weird. It doesn't feel right. I don't have peace about it. I never have felt 100% peace about it. I always felt like a little weird in my stomach about all these things.
You know me, Mel. You know me. This does not sound like you. This sounds like you've been influenced by somebody dark who wants you to believe dark things and have fear of the celestial world.
I don't have fear.
You obviously do.
No, I have a peace of conscience, and I can see clearly.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I love you so much.
I know you do.
They can become impatient or angry when they don't receive special treatment. They have significant interpersonal problems, and they feel slighted very easily. They react with rage or contempt.
Our belief systems.
Do I wrest the scriptures? Is that what you're accusing me of at this point?
I feel that you have.
Why do you feel that way? I need an explanation on this.
Because if you look, like the scripture just
You
said,
read scriptures every single day, you know?
I know you read them. I don't doubt that. But this scripture right here says that you will be supported by all against the fiery darts of the adversary. You would have been supported if you had not opened dark portals and dark junk. You would have been safe. if you would have obeyed God, he would have had your back. But you have been chased and tortured.
Whether you do this or not,
I'm sorry?
he has your back. So,
well, if he has your back, you would not be able to tell me where you are, and we couldn't find JJ. Like, where is he? I've been asking, where is he? And you know what I mean? Like,
I can tell everything where JJ is right now, and that would not be good for JJ. So, I'm sorry that you don't want me to protect my children, but I would never ask you to not protect your children.
Of course you wouldn't.
So, I can tell that you're just adversarial, Mel. I love you. I'm sorry that you feel this way.
Because I actually do care. I'm sharing what I feel for you because I know your salvation's in trouble for what you've done.
Okay, my salvation is not in trouble at all. That was the Lord again.
Well, I felt a lot of things from the Lord. And this doesn't feel right.
And they try to belittle the other person to make themselves appear superior. They have difficulty regulating their emotions and behavior. Sound like Lori yet?
I'm sorry that you feel that way, sweetheart. I'm sorry that you're friends with all those who are against me. Joseph Smith's friends turned against me.
I'm not friends with people that are against you.
Apparently you are.
I am not. I don't know Kay. I don't know who you're talking about. Your sister. I don't even know what her name or who she is. I don't know any of those people. Why would they contact me anyway? How would I even know about that?
Well, you're friends with Dave, and he's apparently now.
Well, David is a very righteous man, and I've always known that grounding about him. And he has a lot of beautiful experiences with the Lord, and these are not the same. You know, when you get the priesthood, that's Peter, James, and John shows up, and then he confirms all of those in the circle that are to get it, and everybody's a witness of that. Everybody's a witness that the pattern is in the scriptures. There's no witness that you ever receive what you think you received. Nobody has seen that but you. There's no witness. The witness, Joseph Smith, Oliver Cowdery, Martin Harris, the 8 witnesses, they all showed up.
Is there a witness when Jesus, Heavenly Father, gave that to Joseph Smith by himself in the grove? Was there a witness?
No, but they had it later with other people. That was one experience, but others joined in later. When he brought other people into it, they had experiences.
Scriptures, yes or no?
I'm sorry?
Is that in the scriptures, yes or no?
That Joseph was alone when he saw God the Father and Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Yes, he was alone.
He was alone.
But he had to open it up first.
That's not a pattern at all.
Honey, what I'm saying is that after he saw that and other people joined in, they saw the things with him. He wasn't alone. There was a witness for them. There was no witness. Anybody's never seen what you've seen or experienced what you've seen. That's your own witness, but nobody said that.
You know, God knows it, and I will never deny it. For my soul would be at stake if I did. So you can say it didn't happen to me, Mal, but if I say it, then I am accountable. You didn't witness it, but I did.
But your behaviors is not, okay, I understand that's what you believe you saw, but this is the thing, as I see, is that your behavior is not one of somebody in Christ. Your behavior. What?
Never had any idea that you would be the person of all people to trick me. I cannot believe.
I am asking questions, and I am concerned for you. That is what somebody does when they care.
You don't sound like you're concerned. You sound like you're accusatory. You do not sound concerned. You sound pissed off.
I'm not. I am troubled. Maybe that's the better word. Troubled. Because these things, like you being with Chad before he's even divorced, is unusual behavior for a person that's seen Jesus Christ.
I was never with him, and he was never divorced.
Honey, I've seen you
That's
guys
your
together.
story. That's you dating.
So I haven't ever seen you with. I've never seen you with Chad kiss him and walk around the track at BYU with him. I never saw that. You
say you're the one that's just feeling guilty about being with someone before they were divorced.
Oh, honey. I think that's not what we're talking about here.
Well, it's not what we're talking about here. That's what I'm saying. You are going off the deep end.
Well, I'm just saying this is not a behavior of someone that sees Jesus Christ. It's not the behavior.
Really? Have you ever seen Jesus Christ? So do you know what the future behavior would be if you had seen Jesus Christ?
I know that
Lord asks me to do every day, and he does protect me, and he is protecting me, and he will protect me against this accusation as well. And we will both stand there with him, and you tell me if I was lying or not, but we're both standing there with Jesus Christ.
They experience major problems in dealing with stress. They have a hard time adapting to change. They feel depressed and moody because they fall short of perfection. They're very they're very hard on themselves because they want to be perfect. They have a need to be perfect. They have these secret feelings of insecurity, shame, vulnerability, and humiliation. People with narcissistic personality disorder may not want to think that anything could possibly be wrong with them. So they are most often unlikely to seek any treatment. If they do seek treatment, it's more likely to be for symptoms of depression, drug, alcohol use, or some other mental health problem. But perceived insults to their self-esteem may make it difficult to accept and follow through with any kind of treatment. It's not really known exactly what causes narcissistic personality disorder. And as any mental health disorders, the cause can be very complex. It could have a lot of different factors. They might be linked to, is it nature? Is it nurture? Were they born this way? Was it something in their environment growing up? Mismatch in parent-child relationships. Was the mother or the father particularly excessively adoring this child, or excessive criticism? Those could be reasons why somebody becomes a narcissist with true narcissistic personality disorder. That could be genetics involved, inherited characteristics, or neurobiology. Again, this is according to the Mayo Clinic. Neurobiology would be the connection between the brain and behavior and thinking. Risk factors: narcissistic personality disorder affects more males than females, and it often begins in the teens or early adulthood. Now, some children may show traits of narcissism. This may just be typical of their age. Children are very egocentric, so that may not be truly a narcissistic personality disorder. It may just be being a child and going through your stages of life, typical to some age group. Some children are very egocentric. It is all about them. So it may simply just be to do with their age. It doesn't mean they'll go on to develop narcissistic personality disorder, unlike our friend Lori Vallow. I did not diagnose her, but she has so many key ingredients to this disorder that it is almost textbook. Some researchers think that in biology, certain children's parenting styles affect them. Parenting styles that are overprotective or neglectful may have an impact. Genetics and neurobiology also may play a role, like we said, in development of the narcissistic personality disorder. There are complications to this disorder, just like there's complications to any illness, mental health disorder. But complications of narcissistic personality disorder, according to the Mayo Clinic, can include relationship difficulties, problems at work or school, depression and anxiety, physical health problems, drug and alcohol misuse, suicidal thoughts or behavior. Because the cause of narcissistic personality disorder is unknown, there's no way to prevent the condition. But it may help to just get treatment as soon as possible for childhood mental health problems. Now that we did a little bit of background on narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, what do we know about Lori Vallow? Well, we know she's in jail, currently in Madison County, Rexburg, Idaho County Jail, awaiting another trial. We know she's a follower and a wife to Chad Daybell. She's followed his religious doomsday writings and become basically obsessed, according to people that knew her before this all came down. She did appear in podcasts focused on helping to prepare the people of this earth for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Remember, Lori has declared herself to many that she was the head of the 144,000. Well, that didn't happen, right? In February of 2019, she was estranged from her husband, Charles Vallow. The divorce papers cited that Lori's extreme religious beliefs were the cause. He alleged Lori believes she was a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Jesus Christ's second coming, which was supposed to take place in July of 2020, according to what these witnesses had said. Didn't happen, we know. And she had threatened Charles Vallow and said, if you get in my way, I will murder you. At some point after Charles lay dead and was murdered and she thought everything was wrapped up, she decided to move on to this part of her life where she could be with Chad Daybell. What does she do? She gives up JJ's service dog. She winds up giving it back to the breeder after she puts an ad in the paper trying to sell it to make money. This was brought to the attention of the breeder, Neil Mestis, and he took the dog back. September 5th, 2019, she emails her son, JJ, her autistic son, adopted son, JJ, school. The school was called Lawrence Institute of Education in Gilbert, Arizona. And she told him she was taking him out because they're moving to Rexburg, Idaho, and is enrolling him there at Kennedy Elementary. She had some big old story. Obviously, Lori has to tell and embellish things and tell these big stories that she got this job that she can't take and she has to go. On September 8th, she went to Yellowstone with Alex Cox, Tylee Ryan, and JJ Vallow. And that was the last time Tylee was ever seen. Fast forward, we know they were found. Tylee's body was found dismembered and burnt in Chad Daybell's backyard. On September 24th, she took JJ out of Kennedy and she claimed she's going to homeschool him from then on. That was also on Tylee's 17th birthday. On October 2nd, she purchased malachite wedding ring on Charles Vallow's Amazon account. And the ring is seen on November 5th during Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's wedding ceremony photographs in Kauai. I am still believing that that malachite ring is symbolic for some reason. What reason? Some reason. Did they use malachite to poison? Be interesting to find out. Lori did lie to witnesses that Tylee died a year before the death of her father, which is untrue. Before Joe Ryan died, she lied and told people that Tylee had died. 2 weeks after Tammy, Chad Daybell's wife, died, she married Chad in Hawaii. 2 weeks. Tammy was dead for 2 weeks. She lied again, and she said to witnesses that JJ was in Arizona with friends. All these things, when you talk about the narcissistic personality disorder, are so blatant that Lori committed anything and everything that you would describe as somebody that has narcissistic personality disorder. The police began to investigate the kid's disappearance, and she took off. Lori went to Hawaii. She blasted the heck out of there. Lori and Chad had their honeymoon in Kauai, and they were found gallivanting around. And now when we think about this, when we didn't know those kids were dead, we thought they might be hidden somewhere, possibly dead, and then knowing and looking back on that, it's actually pretty disgusting and really shows that she lacks any kind of remorse or empathy whatsoever. Walking around Hawaii like nothing's wrong. She was arrested in Kauai after willfully disobeying the order to prove that the kids are safe. They had a $5 million bond, and at the hearing in Kauai, Lori was extradited back to Idaho to continue all of this legal saga of Lori and eventually Chad Daybell. Unable to post bond, Lori has remained in jail all this time. And can you only imagine if we were flies on the wall in that jail cell, or the people she talks to in there would still love to have somebody that's been in there with her come do an interview. Wouldn't that be amazing? All right, so let's talk about a little bit further back. Her list of ex-husbands and her current husband. In 1992-ish, she married her first husband. His name is Nelson Yates. She was still a teenager. She was fresh out of high school. It is rumored or alleged that they had the marriage annulled eventually. Not divorced, but annulled. I don't know. I've not seen the paperwork on either. Then in 1995, October 22nd, she marries her second husband. His name is William LaGuardia. She married him in Travis County, Texas. They have her son, Colby together. He's born during the relationship, and they wind up divorced. I'm going to read you a letter that was sent by Lori to the authorities accusing of William LaGoya of trying to kill her. Who knows? And she knows how to pick them, right? So very possibly, but Lori, again, textbook narcissist, flip blame shifting, projecting, accusing others of what she herself has done. And we've seen that all along. So the YouTube channel WTAF, Wicked Truth and F-Bombs, have compiled quite a bit of legal documents that they paid for and exposed. And well, this was one of them. And so we'll go over that little letter right now.
Again, thanks to the YouTube channel WTAF for providing this information. Letter from Lori to the authorities. William John LaGoya has made several threats against my life. William has been physically and mentally abusing me for 3 years. On February 12th, 1996, William threatened that if I were to call the police again, since I have reported this before, then he would snap my neck. William has stated in several occasions that he would kill me and our unborn child and any police that tried to arrest him if I were to call the police. William has beat me up, hitting and pushing me and holding the phone away from me so that I would not call 911. William threatened that if he was to go to jail, when he got out, no matter how long it is, I will find you and kill you. I will never go back to jail alive. I will kill anyone who comes in here to take me to jail. So that's Lori's statement to the authorities, dated 21st day of February 1996, while she was pregnant with Colby. She wrote this letter to the authorities. Obviously, another crazy, volatile relationship. Makes perfect sense. Fits right with the MO of the narcissist spectrum. Sociopath, narcissist, whatever she is, she's messed up. Don't know if this guy was anything better or perfect or true, but she is definitely has this pattern. Definitely.
Lori, again, as usual, blaming the world for her problems. In 2001, Lori marries her third husband, Joseph Anthony Ryan. This is the husband that she had Tylee with. He raises Lori's son, Colby, from her previous marriage. Tylee Ashlyn Ryan is born. Joe and Lori get divorced. They have an ugly custody battle, and her brother Alex was charged for assaulting him with a taser. Alex served 3 months for assault. Joe Ryan later died, and Lori never contacted his family. After his death, Joe Ryan's death, Lori applies for and receives Social Security survivor benefits for Tylee. On some of the message boards out there in the Facebook group, there are members of Joe Ryan's family that have flat out denied that anything curious could have happened and his death was completely natural. Annie Cushing, on the other hand, has said that she believes that Lori may have had something to do with the death of Joe Ryan. I've personally been told rumors that were given that came out of Lori's mouth, all hearsay, to April Raymond, saying that Lori and Tylee went into the apartment when Joe was dead and took his valuables. So much crazy stories. We know Lori's a liar. So very, very, very possibly, if she did say this to April Raymond, she could have been lying, or she could have been telling the truth. And if she did get in that apartment, when and how? So much weird rabbit holes in this whole story, but I'm still super curious and would love to talk to somebody who personally knew Joe Ryan. So if you personally know Joe Ryan, call me, send me an email at leftundonei@gmail.com. And if you're willing to have an actual phone call interview or recorded, we could do it live or we could do it recorded, or a Zoom call that I can record and use on the show, I'd appreciate it, because I would like to know some other people's thoughts on this whole thing with Joe Ryan. I've seen comments in groups, but nobody's actually elaborating at all to tell us what they really feel and think if they knew him. I'm here if you'd like to talk about it. I'd be glad to have you on the show. In 2006, Lori and Charles Vallow get married. And of course, we know Charles filed for divorce from Lori in February of 2019. Court documents claim she viewed herself as a god preparing for the second coming of Christ. Charles said Lori would kill him if he got in her way of performing that mission. On the morning of the 11th of July, 2019, Charles Vallow was fatally shot twice in the chest admittedly by Alex Cox, Lori's brother, the same brother that shot Joe Ryan with a stun gun. They say it was during a family argument, and Alex Cox claims self-defense. We've all seen that. If you haven't seen that whole video, go to my Left Undone episode number 2, and you can see it all, the raw video on there. Alex Cox claims self-defense. Now we know a lot more. And since Alex Cox is dead, we can't ask him. But the crime is still under investigation. And there has been, Justin Lum has posted that there will be charges brought forth at some point to Lori later this year or early next year. On October 19th, 2019, Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy, dies. He raised her life insurance right before she died. Any indication that Lori might have had something to do with that? I do. I think so. On November 5th, 2019, Chad and Lori get married in Kauai, and they just are running around while the kids are missing. And then remember, Lori was getting Social Security for JJ at the time. And she also used her dead husband's credit card to buy her wedding ring. Narcissistic personality disorder much, you think? Even more so, right? Further along the spectrum, sociopath, psychopath, definitely. What are your thoughts on all this? Now, Lori's family, it wouldn't be a Lori video if we didn't talk a little bit about her family. So what do we know about Barry Cox and Janice? You can't have a Lori video without talking about the people that actually raised her mom and dad. So no wonder Loco is the way she is. Seriously, Loco Lolo. She is definitely raised by people that are not mainstream normal folks. They are anti-government, and they don't respect the laws of the United States. You know, it's pretty clear she doesn't bat an eye about defying a court order. It shows why she thinks she's invincible. Her parents think they're invincible. Their bankruptcies, they have lots and lots of bankruptcies. They have had so many P.O. boxes for addresses. They've moved around a lot. It appears that Charles Vallow paid a lot of bills for them, and cars, phones, etc. And they have had their superiority attitude of entitlement and trying to be above the law. Again, you know, two narcissists can and do marry each other. Also, you have different dynamics there. But that family, it's like a family that has narcissistic personality family disorder. They do have a couple of lawsuits against the U.S. government, IRS. One is for emotional distress from taking property and funds for a bad tax debt in excess of $400,000 from the 90s and the 2000s. On June 13th, 2012, 13 years after Mr. Barry Cox, Lori's father, was ordered to pay back taxes to the IRS as restitution, plaintiffs filed the instant suit. They alleged a wide variety of claims in their rambling of a 106-page complaint. But the bottom line is that they do not believe that they are required to pay federal income taxes. Barry was actually putting out flyers advertising that he offers legal estate planning services. The Arizona Bar Association did serve him with a cease and desist order. Now, he isn't licensed to practice law in Arizona. A while back, Justin Lum was asked if he had reached out to them, and he said they have tried. When arriving at the rental in Arizona, it was unexpectedly vacated. Now, we're going back to before all this went down, before they had these interviews with Dateline and 48 Hours, etc. but they were hiding. There was some speculation that they were staying with their son, Adam, Lori's other brother, you know, the one that was trying to kill her with Charles, according to her ramblings when the police body cam was at there. And he's in St. George, Utah, where they're saying they may have last been seen. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Lori very much emulates or appears to have a lot of the same disorders as her family as a whole, with her parents thinking they're above the law as well. So that is the little bit more about Lori Vallow Daybell and how she really compares to someone with actual narcissistic personality disorder. What do you think? Leave comments below. Thank you for watching Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Catherine. Welcome. I'm glad you're here, and I will see you soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.